There are three major things that you should shift before you retire. Obviously, there's a million things that we quote unquote should do, but how many of them really apply that make a big impact? That's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm very aware of your time, and you're spending this time to watch this video to gain insight on your retirement. This is what I love to do. All my videos are designed for an early retirement. You're never going to see me make a video, but here's the best new credit card of 2025, or here's how to do travel hacking. Tons of people out there that do that, and they do it way better than I do. It's not of interest to me. I like talking about these big rocks that make really big dents. So when I'm talking about tax planning, I'm talking about Roth conversions. I'm talking about health insurance. I'm talking about saving you potentially tens of thousands of dollars a year. I'm talking about portfolio changes. I'm trying to say, can we withdraw more income? So if these are topics that sound horrible to you, don't subscribe. You will not like me. Obviously, lighthearted here, but that's the truth. If you're like, no, I want to retire early, I want to optimize, then this channel is designed specifically for you. So with that being said, we're going to hop right in. The first one that I want to talk about with you guys is shifting the mindset, but also being realistic. What does this mean? So many people go, I'm going to retire. It's going to be really hard to shift from a saving mindset to a spending mindset. Before I get into the details here, I want to make sure you guys think of one phrase, and I hope you tell me if it resonates. I want you to become a successful spender. Not an overspender, not an underspender, a successful spender. I want you to spend guilt-free, knowing the last 40 years you just worked, you can now go and spend knowing you're in a great position to do so. Here's how you do it. You need what's called a decumulation strategy. It's actually pretty simple to be in a position to retire. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's simple. You need to save well to your 401k. You need to put money into a brokerage account if you want to optimize. You likely want a Roth IRA. You need to make sure you understand how much income you can create and make sure that's exceeding your expenses. Simple, not easy. Now, this is different. It's completely a different game. When you retire, you don't need to earn more money. You need to have a strategy to withdraw the money. It's not about having it. It's about knowing how do you spend it safely for decades. So I'm all about actions. I want you guys to be able to take actions, not just go, hey, this guy seems like he really loves this stuff. No, this guy seems like he loves this stuff, but he's also giving me real actionable takeaways. So how do you build a withdrawal plan? Align your spending to a sustainable rate. So this is an example, okay? It's not a recommendation, it's an example. 3 to 4% of your portfolio annually. I believe, if you've seen my other videos, that you can withdraw way more than that. I believe a lot of you are worried to retire because you go, if I retire early, I still have kids in college. I have a home remodel. I have healthcare. I have travel. I have a lot of expenses that are going to come up. How do I know I'm going to be able to afford all of these other things and retire early? Well, the reality is you might have 1 or 2 years where your withdrawal rate is 4, 5, 6, 7%. That does not mean you can't retire. We just want to make sure it's sustainable. The previous studies of retirement talk about a 4% rule. I believe in what's called the guardrails approach. If you want to watch my other video on that, just look up Taublieb guardrails or withdrawal strategy, because I think you can take north of 5% and be more assured you won't run out of money, which is a large topic, obviously. Today, I'm just giving you super simple advice, not financial advice. Once again, just loose insight here. 3 to 4% of your portfolio annually is what a lot of retirement experts talk about. Once again, I think you can do better. This is a big one, the sequence of your accounts. This is not black and white, but you need to decide what is the plan. Most people do not pull from a Roth IRA first. Why is that? That's their best account for long-term growth. Most people, to minimize taxes and penalties, want to go and use a taxable account because you get to pay capital gains taxes, which is better than ordinary income. Then they go to a traditional IRA. Then they go to a Roth IRA. So this is most people. Why do I say most? Well, pretend you bought one stock and it's concentrated. It's done really well in a brokerage account. The reality is you might not want to sell that stock. So you might actually want to pull from your traditional first. It depends. That's when you want to get an advisor. The third reason you need a decumulation strategy, this is a big one here, okay? So you'll need 10 to 15 years before Social Security, Medicare, ensure cash flow from savings, passive income, or part-time work. Some things to consider. Yes, you can use a calculator to help, but we talk about bucketing. We talk about Roth conversions. Here's the example I'm going to share with you all briefly. Okay, so this is true. I'm going to keep it real quick for you, but I want to pick and choose my battles, but this is a good story. So I had someone that reached out and said, Ari, I'm really scared to retire early. I said, I don't blame you. Why? They said, well, if I retire early, My concern is running out, obviously, but my main concern is if I retire early and overspend when I don't have Social Security, that I'm going to be kicking myself later because now I'm not going to be able to spend to the degree that I want to. I said, totally makes sense. So I want to be clear. The reason you're worried to retire early is because you're worried about running out and you don't have Social Security yet, so all the pressure's on your portfolio. Is that right? They said, right. I said, okay, let me explain something and tell me if this worries you. That's what I told the client. They said, okay, go for it. I said, what about this idea that you're 85 with $10 million? Just tell me how you'd feel. And they'd go, I don't really think I need 10 million. I go, what about 5 million? They go, I don't think I really need 5 million either. I go, at what point would you be upset? How much is too much? And they said, there's really not too much. I go, okay, then let's run this hypothetical. Let's pretend you're 85 with $5 million and you are in a fine spot. Now you have Social Security. You're actually traveling less because you're older. Your kids are in a better spot. They don't need as much assistance. So you're 85 and you have $5 million. When you're 90, you'll probably have $7 million. And you didn't travel or like really enjoy your retirement, and you actually worked like 3 more years. So you could have retired at 60, but you worked till 63, and now your health isn't in the same position as it once was because you're sitting all the time. Does that seem like a good life? And they go, no, actually that's a kind of failure to me because I don't want to retire and not enjoy things. But once again, I'm too worried to spend too much too early on. I said, beautiful. This is what planning is about. This is why there's no such thing as a financial plan. There's financial planning. Life changes. And I told them, if you knew that you could spend $100,000 a year with another $25,000 a year on travel for the first 5 years of retirement, from 60 to 65, and then at that point turn on Social Security and still had millions at 85, how would you feel? They go, well, if I knew I'd be okay, then I wouldn't worry with the travel. I said, sounds like we need to do some planning. So the point here is don't cheat yourself. That's the point of the story. I'll see a lot of people cheat themselves. And what I mean by that is they're going, yeah, I don't have Social Security. I don't have any rental income, or I don't have, Medicare yet. And because of that, I'm not going to retire early. Don't do that. That is you cheating yourself. Okay. Number 2, healthcare. This is a big deal. If you retire at 55, for example, that's 10 years without Medicare. Now, the reality is we have clients that legitimately, if you look up Ari Taublieb, healthcare, savings, pre-65, you will see I have tons of videos. Here's how I have clients that have paid $50 a month for healthcare. Here's how to save thousands every single year. So if you want to take a healthcare dive, be my guest there. This is on the healthcare front. What I want you to be realistic about is, for most people, they can do better than they think, meaning they don't have to use Cobra. You can go to what's called the marketplace, a spouse's plan. There's health sharing ministries. Now, the reality is, if you just want to be super realistic, you could expect 10 to 20,000 a year for a couple. It largely depends though. I have couples that have millions that spend $1,000 a year, and I have couples spending 15,000 a year. Finally, an HSA, don't overlook this. Okay. This is something that a lot of people just go, there's not a big amount I could put in every single year, so it's not really worth it to me. Guys, HSAs become just like IRAs after age 65. You cannot overfund an HSA. Now, literally, of course you can. You can put too much in it where you go beyond the maximum allowed amount, which is north of $8,000 as of this year for a family. But an HSA, this becomes like an IRA after age 65. So just know that. And then finally, this is something that I think a lot of you are like, hey, I know I should consider it, but I'm too busy. I'm trying to save and invest. That identity and reframing purpose. This is going to sound silly, but truly, guys, this might be the hardest part, because a lot of you are like, I'm a good saver. I mean, I've saved and invested well. It's now this concept of, okay, how am I going to spend my time? It's easier to keep working. I'm just going to keep working. Guys, that is you cheating yourself. Most people underestimate the emotional shift. If you have retired or you're actually dealing with this, guys, just be honest. Put it in the comments below. This is really fun for other people to get to see. If you say, you're right, my average day, I don't know what it's going to look like. Yeah, I'm going to hobby and volunteer and pick a hobby. I'm going to have some side gigs. Some of you are like, I don't want to do any of those things. Take extended breaks. Could you take sabbaticals? Test run your lifestyle before you retire, and then building your community. Harvard had a study of adult development. They obviously, no surprise, strong relationships and a sense of purpose, not wealth, are the biggest predictors of happiness. So I'm going to leave you with the story that you may have heard before. I'm going to pull it up at the same time. But this was, I'm trying to remember the title exactly. Why upset? Save to 3 million. Ari, let's see if it comes up. Okay, let's try one more search. I'm going to tell you the story if it doesn't come up. You guys are getting it all raw right here. Okay, so I have lots of videos of how much can we spend with 3 million in retirement, or 2 million, or can I retire early with over 3 million in one company? Lots of different videos. So this is the one. Okay, we found it. So I posted this video 6 months ago, why she regrets saving to 3 million. So this was a person I spoke to, lovely lady, who said she's upset she had 3 million. I said, look, lady, I don't want to be mean here. I talked to a lot of people. A lot of people would love to have 3 million. Why are you upset? And I said it just like that. And she said, you don't understand. I said, that's correct. That's why I'm asking. Tell me. And she said, the reason I'm upset is I now have bad sciatica, which does not allow me to travel in a comfortable way. I was planning on hiking and doing a lot of fun things. And I realized I didn't need 3 million to retire. I needed about 2 to 2.25 million. So now I feel like I have too much and I don't get my health back. I said, that's powerful. So for all of you, it's a helpful story to really think about it and go, how much do you really need? I don't want you to retire too early and run out of money. I don't want you to retire too late and be mad at me when you have too much money going, Ari, I told you I didn't need $10 million. Why didn't you press me harder? And I learned that lesson because I had clients that say, you should have pushed me harder. And I said, naively back, I said, I thought I did. I told you you could spend more, that you were in a fine spot. They said, you didn't do a good enough job because here I am now with millions and I wish I retired earlier. So all of this to say, if you want to go into any specific topic or hear the whole story, you can check it out there. If you're going, I think I don't want to spend a new job in retirement doing financial planning, that's why we exist. We exist so you can spend time doing what you want to do. If you go to our website, Root Financial, schedule a call, you can put your information in here. You can go through our FAQs. What happens when you work with Root? Do you still own the accounts? How does money transfer? What are the fees? How do we justify our fee? What role do I play? How do you handle the tax planning? These are common questions. Learn about our process. This is what we love to do. If you're like, hey, I really just want access to like a software to build out my own plan, I don't really want to work with an advisor, that's where I have what's called this Early Retirement Academy. You can go and you can see it's a one-time cost. You go build your own plan, run your own what-if scenario, see what you're on track for. This is a good starting spot. If you're like, hey, I don't really know. If you're like, I have an advisor, I want to shift, I want a new advisor, that's when you want to work with Root officially. But this is a good starting place for a lot of people, and I want to make sure you're all aware of it. So it's in the description. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoy these videos. If you do, please like, comment. I make them all for you, and I'm going to keep them coming. Thanks, guys.